Legend of Yufei Chapter 9.
So the story kicks off with Yufei and his four buddies. You've got Tang Huai, Niu Gao, Wang Yi, and they're traveling through Bianjing. That was the imperial capital back then. Big, busy place.
Very unfamiliar territory for them. And then suddenly, a familiar face.
He recognizes Jiang Zhenzi, who was an innkeeper back in Xiangzhou, where they're from.
Right. And the text describes this feeling. It calls it the joy of meeting an old friend in a strange land. It's such a universal feeling, isn't it? That instant relief you get finding someone familiar when everything else is new.
Absolutely. And it's often those chance meetings that tell you the most,
Well,
So what was Jiang Zhenzi actually doing there in Bianjing? Why was that reunion so important?
well, this is where it gets really interesting. Zhang Zhenzi explains he had to pack up his entire inn, move it from Xiangzhou all the way to Naxinmen inside Bianjing.
Why? What happened?
The reason? A military officer, a guy named Hong Zongjun. He was out for revenge against Yufei.
Revenge?
See, Hong blamed Yufei because Yufei had beaten him in a competition, basically showed him up in front of this high-ranking official, Lu Dunyan, and Hong got dismissed or demoted because of it.
Ah, okay. So Hong holds a grudge.
A big one. And in retaliation, he went and ransacked Jiang Zhenzi's original inn back in Jiangsu. He even forbade him from running his business there anymore.
Wow. So Yufei's actions, even winning a contest, had these major ripple effects, affecting people like Jiang Zhenzi who weren't even directly involved.
Precisely. It shows that Yufei's reputation, good for some, obviously bad for others, like Hong.
So naturally, Yufei and his friends decide to stay at Jiang Zhenzi's new place.
Makes perfect sense. A friendly face, somewhere safe to land in this huge new city.
But even though they found lodging, Yufei still had his main objective. The reason he came to Bianjing in the first place.
That letter.
Yeah, he has this letter from Lu Duyuan, the official from before, and he needs to deliver it personally to Zong Lushu.
And the hope is this letter will land him a good position, something that could help out his brothers, his companions too.
Now, who is this Zong Lushu? Jiang Zhenzi gives them the lowdown, right?
He does. He describes Zong Lishu as the Grand Marshal of the Protectorate, basically the protector of Bianjing. Immense power. The text has this great line for him. On horseback, commands the military, dismounts, governs the people.
Wow, so he's top dog, military and civilian side. Both.
Pretty much. The ultimate authority there. Which explains Yufei's next move, or his initial thought anyway.
He wanted to go alone to deliver the letter.
Yeah. He was worried, maybe rightly so, about his companions. Especially Niu Gao, who was known for being, let's say, a bit rowdy.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably didn't want Niu Gao causing a scene at the Grand Marshal's headquarters.
Exactly. But Niu Gao promises, I'll be quiet, not a word. And then Wang Yi steps in, more reasonably perhaps.
What does he say?
He persuades Yufei to let them all come along. Says it's a good chance for everyone to see the office, get familiar with the place. And they all promise, best behavior.
It shows their bond, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But also, Yufei being cautious, thinking ahead.
Definitely. So, okay, they secure their room, promise to behave.
And head off to find the Grand Marshal.
Mm-hmm.
Jiang Zhenzi even offers them wine for when they get back.
Nice touch. So the five of them arrive at Zong Liu's office, and it's described as grand and majestic. Looks apart.
Right. They ask a soldier at the gate, is the marshal in?
And the soldier tells him no, he's still at the imperial court, not back yet.
So Yufei, always practical, suggests, okay, let's head back to the inn. We'll try again tomorrow. Makes sense.
But as they're walking back, things change. They start noticing people lining the streets. There's a buzz.
Announcing Zong Lushu's return.
Exactly. And then they see it, this huge procession. Zong Lushu himself riding in this magnificent sedan chair, surrounded by officials, soldiers, the whole display.
A real power parade. You get a sense of his status immediately.
Absolutely. It projects immense authority.
Yeah.
So Yufei and his friends, they decide to follow him back to his main hall.
They watch him go in, and then shortly after, they hear drums. Court is starting at his office now.
Right. Zong Lushu takes his seat, and here's the really fascinating part. Almost immediately, he tells his flag officer to bring in the documents for the day, and then he specifically says...
What?
He says to admit Yufei from Tangin County if he shows up.
Wait, what? How did he even know Yufei was coming? Yufei hadn't even presented his letter yet.
Exactly. That's the kicker. How did Zong Lushu know to expect him? By name, even.
Okay, so how? There must be more to it.
There is. The source tells us that another official, Lu Guanxi, he was the Jidushi, like a powerful regional military governor from Shangzhou, where Yufei is from.
Okay.
Lu Guangxi had already sent Zong Lushu a letter of recommendation for Yu Fei.
Ah. So a letter arrived before Yu Fei did.
Precisely. And it wasn't just any old letter. Lu Guangxi apparently went all out.
What did it say?
It praised Yu Fei to the absolute heavens, called him rare in the world, peerless, complete in both civil and military skills, truly a pillar of the nation.
Wow.
Mhm.
That is incredibly high praise. Talk about setting expectations.
Unbelievably high. Which, if you put yourself in Zong Lushi's shoes, actually explains his next thought process.
Of course.
Well, the text suggests he was genuinely wondering, is this kid really that good? Or did Lu Guangxi maybe get, a hefty bribe to write such a glowing report?
So skepticism kicks in. He's wondering about the motive behind the recommendation.
Exactly. It humanizes Zong Lishu, doesn't it? He's this hugely powerful figure, but he's also dealing with the realities of court politics, where recommendations weren't always based purely on merit. Sometimes they were favors, sometimes influenced by money.
Right. Flattery and bribes were probably common.
Very. So Zong Lishu was basically thinking, okay, this Lu Guangxi says Yu Fei is the best thing ever, but is he really? Or is this just politics? He was waiting. He wanted to meet Yu Fei face to face to judge for himself, to see if the reality matched the hype.
That adds such an interesting layer of tension to their upcoming meeting. It's not just Yu Fei seeking a job. It's Zong Lushu trying to discern truth from exaggeration.
It's a test, really. Yu Fei and his buddies, they arrive at the marshal's office.
And right away, the vibe is intense.
Yeah, the source describes Marshal Zongzi, sometimes called Zong Lusha, as looking like a king of hell. Super intimidating.
Definitely sets a tone.
And Yu Fei, being sharp, he senses this real urgency about the marshal. He thinks there must be some urgent matter going on.
And you see that fear ripple through his companions, right? Tan Huai, Zheng Huai in the text says the atmosphere was fearful.
It really hammers home the power dynamic, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It shows the sheer weight of authority back then. Even brave guys felt it. It makes Yu Fei's later calmness stand out even more.
But Yu Fei, he's already thinking ahead. He notices his clothes, his white clothes, might not be quite right for the situation.
A bit too plain, maybe? Or inappropriate?
Could be. So, quick thinking, he swaps clothes with Zhang Jian, but then he does something really crucial.
What's that?
He gives his friends this stark warning. He says, basically, if things go bad inside, stay quiet, don't do anything.
Or else?
Or else, even their own lives would be hard to save. Serious stuff.
Wow. Okay, so that immediately causes a bit of friction within his own group, doesn't it?
Yeah, Tang Hai speaks up. He's skeptical.
He kind of says, wait, why do we even need this intro letter from Lu Jidu if you're this worried? Looks like we're just using Lu's name.
Exactly. It shows different ways of handling risk, doesn't it? Yu Fei's calculated caution versus Tang Huai's. Maybe more straightforward thinking.
Yeah, or maybe a bit of pride mixed in there, too.
Yeah.
Interesting dynamic.
So despite that little debate, Yu Fei walks into the marshal's compound. He announces himself pretty simply, Yu Fei, marshal student from Tangyin County.
Okay, and the marshal, Zong Zi, he seems to expect someone maybe wealthier? Perhaps the borrowed clothes threw him off.
Could be. He asks Yu Fei when he arrived. Seems like a normal question, but...
It escalates. Quickly.
Right. Yu Fei hands over the letter from Lu Jidu, and Zong Zi just erupts, slams the table.
Oh.
Yeah, starts roaring at Yu Fei, accuses him straight up of buying the letter.
Buying it, like a bribe.
Exactly. And he threatens torture. He shouts about having the pincers ready.
Good grief. Why such an extreme reaction right off the bat?
That's the million-dollar question. Was bribery common? Was Zong Zi just testing him under fire?
Could be either. Maybe a bit of both. A deliberate pressure test.
And while this is happening inside, think about the guys waiting outside. They hear the shouting.
Oh, man, yeah. New Gao, probably the hothead of the group.
Yep, he immediately wants to rush in, shouting, "It's not good!"
But Tang Huai stops him.
Yeah, Tang Huai, remembering Yu Fei's warning, holds him back, says, "We can't move. Let's see how he handles it first."
Smart move. Shows the discipline Yu Fei instilled, even just moments before. And it really highlights the danger Yu Fei's in.
Totally. One wrong word, one wrong move from anyone, and it could be disastrous.
So Yu Fei's facing this furious marshal, these wild accusations. How does he react? Does he argue? Defend himself?
That's what's amazing. He stays incredibly calm. Instead of arguing, he starts telling his life story.
His life story. To the guy threatening him with torture. That's unexpected.
Right. Is he stalling? Or is there a point to this narrative?
I think it's deeply strategic. He starts from the beginning. born in Tangying County. Father died in a Yellow River flood when he was just 3 days old.
A really tragic start.
And his mother saved him, famously, by putting him in a big pot, a flour jar, or huagang.
Like a makeshift boat.
Exactly. And they floated downriver to Nihuang County, got taken in by Wang Mingyan, lost everything they had.
So he's establishing his humble origins, proving he had no money to bribe anyone.
Precisely. It paints him as someone destined, maybe, but definitely poor, incapable of buying influence.
And then comes the really crucial part of his story, the mentor.
Ah, yes, Zhu Tong. He explains he became Zhu Tong's adopted son, learned martial arts from him.
And he clarifies Lu Jidu's role just helped him get his old property back, gave him travel money, not someone he could possibly bribe for a letter.
And this name, Zhu Tong, this is the key, isn't it? How does Zong Zi react to hearing that name?
It's like a switch flips. Zong Zi knew of Zhu Tong.
Knew him how?
Knew him as this incredibly skilled master who famously refused government positions, a man of principle, outside the system.
Ah, okay. So it's not just who Yu Fei knew. It's the kind of person Zhu Tong was known to be. Integrity, real skill.
Exactly. Zong Zi respects that. Suddenly, the suspicion melts away. He starts thinking, maybe this kid actually does have talent. It's not certain, but maybe.
That connection, that respected mentor's reputation, completely changes the marshal's perception, more than any letter could.
So Zong Zi, his curiosity is piqued now. He tells Yu Fei, follow me to the Arrow Hall. Time for a demonstration.
The tone has shifted from interrogation to a tryout.
First test. Bows. Yu Fei tries a few, says they're all too soft.
Oh, too soft. Okay, setting the bar high.
He casually mentions he usually uses a 200 Jin bow, which is, well, about 260 pounds.
Yeah, incredibly strong. And he says he can shoot over 200 paces accurately. That's elite level.
So Zong Zi thinks, okay, let's see about that. He calls for his personal bow, the Divine Arm Bow.
And this one is even heavier.
Oh, yeah. 300 Jin. That's like 390 pounds draw weight. Insane.
Can Yu Fei even draw it?
He takes it, apparently just says good, like he approves of the bow, and then proceeds to fire 9 arrows in a row.
9. And the accuracy.
Bullseye. Every single one.
Okay. Wow. That's not just strength. That's superhuman control and focus under pressure. He's making a serious statement.
No kidding. Zong Zi must have been floored. So, next challenge.
Zong Zi asks about his main weapon. Yu Fei says he knows a bit of everything, but he's used to the spear. Very modest phrasing again.
So Zong Zi brings out his spear, a steel-tipped spear.
And again, it's probably not your average spear.
Nope. So heavy it takes 2 soldiers just to carry it out.
Another massive challenge. Testing his all-around martial skill now.
And Yu Fei takes the spear and just performs. The text mentions 36 flips and 72 transformations.
This sounds like a dazzling display of complex martial arts maneuvers. You're showing agility, balance, power, everything.
The whole crowd, the marshal's retinue, they're shouting, good, good.
And the final detail is telling.
Right. He finishes, and his face not red, throat not gasping, no sign of effort.
He didn't just pass the test, he absolutely aced it, dominated it, left zero doubt about his physical abilities.
So, the physical demonstration is undeniable. Zong Zi has seen the skill, but he's not done. He shifts focus.
From the body to the mind.
Exactly. He asks Yu Fei, essentially, okay, you can fight, but if you were a general, what are your principles? How would you lead?
This is where we see if he's just a fighter or a true leader. A strategist.
And Yu Fei's response is immediate, clear, and actually quite profound. He lays out 4 key principles, almost poetically.
Okay, let's break those down. What's the first one?
First, command and discipline. He says orders must shake mountains. Ranks need to be orderly. Rewards and punishments, clear and swift.
So, establishing absolute authority and structure, essential for any army.
But it's more than just blind obedience, he implies, right?
Yes. Then he moves to the second principle, strategy over brute force. He actually says generals rely on strategy, not bravery.
That's a big statement, prioritizing brains over brawn.
Definitely. He mentions needing high defenses for sieges, but caution for traps like pits. It shows he thinks tactically, anticipates dangers.
Okay, solid military thinking. Then the third principle takes an interesting turn.
It really does. Third is compassion and selflessness. He says generals should lead from the front, always show love.
Love in a military context.
Yeah, and prioritize saving lives over chasing personal fame. That's quite remarkable for the time. It suggests a leader who genuinely cares for his troops.
A leader people would likely follow out of loyalty, not just fear.
Exactly. And finally, the fourth principle ties it all together.
His ultimate goal. He says his ambition is to regain territory for the marshal.
Not for himself?
No, for the marshal, for the state, leading ultimately to peace established in the future.
It's a vision of service, restoration, and lasting peace. Not personal power. It's incredibly selfless, especially after demonstrating such personal prowess. Zong's initial take on Yu Fei. It's not exactly positive, is it? No, not at all. He's actually quite cynical. When Yu Fei first shows up, Zong immediately suspects this is just another ambitious young guy trying to, bribe his way up the ladder.
So he thinks Yu Fei might be there with a gift, trying to buy favor?
Precisely.
Yeah.
Which, right away, creates this kind of wary, almost distrustful atmosphere for their meeting.
But Yu Fei manages to turn that around pretty quickly, from what I understand.
He really does, and it's telling how. He doesn't argue or protest too much. He just demonstrates genuine skill, real ability. No hint of trying to cheat the system.
And Zong sees it.
Instantly. The source says Zong respects him immediately for it. He doesn't just tell Yu Fei to rise, he actually calls for a seat for him.
Even though Yu Fei protests, like saying he's not worthy.
Yeah, despite Yu Fei's very humble objections. Zong insists. It shows that talent, real talent, could cut through Zong's initial cynicism.
Okay, so it's a surprisingly civil start after that initial suspicion. And I think the source mentions tea.
It does, yeah. A small detail, but significant. Tea is served before they get into the heavy stuff, the military strategy discussion.
Paints a picture, doesn't it?
Huh.
Formal, respectful. At least that's how it seems on the surface.
Exactly. It sets a particular stage. And then Zong gets right to it. He asks Yu Fei, point blank, about his understanding of marching and deploying formations.
Standard question. Military Theory 101 for an officer candidate back then, I imagine.
Pretty much. But Yu Fei's answer, well, this is where things get really interesting.
Right.
It's definitely not the standard answer.
What does he say?
He basically dismisses the entire foundation of how things were usually taught. He says that drawing formations according to diagrams, following the old manuals, is just a rigid method.
Rigid?
Yeah, and get this. He says it doesn't require deep study. Imagine saying that to a grand marshal.
Wow. That's incredibly bold. He's essentially saying the established way is superficial.
He is. And he backs it up. He argues that you can't just rigidly apply ancient methods because, well, ancient times and present times are different. Makes sense.
And the battlefield itself changes.
Exactly. He points out battlefields can be wide, they can be narrow, dangerous, easy. How can you possibly use one fixed formation for all that?
Yeah.
It's a powerful critique of inflexible thinking.
So he's advocating for adaptability, thinking on your feet.
Precisely. Throughout the playbook, essentially. It's less about memorizing ancient tactics and more about real-time adaptable intelligence.
And he talks about unexpectedness, right? That element of surprise.
Yes, shuki.
Mhm.
He emphasizes that as the key to victory. Keep the enemy guessing. Make it impossible for them to figure out your strength or weakness because you're unpredictable.
It's like Sun Tzu, but maybe even more focus on dynamic change.
You could say that. He really hammers the point home with a very practical scenario. He asks, what happens if the enemy comes suddenly or you're surrounded on all sides?
Right, chaos. No time for diagrams then.
Yeah, exactly. How are you going to arrange your perfect formation when you're already under attack? It totally undermines the purely theoretical approach.
So what's his ultimate takeaway, his core principle?
He boils it down beautifully. The essence of using troops lies in adapting to changes based on circumstances entirely dependent on one's mind. Or all about mental agility, using your judgment in the moment.
Exactly. Adapting based on the situation, driven by your own intellect,
Not by some pre-written script. It feels incredibly modern, actually.
And how does Zong react to all this? This young guy basically just trashed the standard military curriculum.
Zong is completely won over, utterly impressed. The source says he hails Yu Fei as a pillar of the nation,
High praise.
the highest. And he even praises Commissioner Liu, the one who recommended Yu Fei, for spotting such incredible talent. It seems like a moment of pure recognition of genius.
Okay, so this feels like a huge win for Yu Fei. He's impressed the Grand Marshal with his intellect, bypassed the initial suspicion. Things are looking good.
You'd think so. But then the mood shifts dramatically.
What happens? Why the sudden change in Zong?
Zong sighs, and the source says his whole demeanor changes. He tells Yu Fei that his arrival is, quote, truly ill-timed.
Ill-timed, after calling him a pillar of the nation. That doesn't make sense.
It doesn't, until Zong explains why. This is where the politics, the messy reality crashes in.
Okay, lay it on us. What's the complication?
The complication has a name. Prince Chai. He's a feudal prince, a direct descendant of a former emperor, Zong, apparently known as the Little Prince Lang.
Okay, a noble with connections.
Big connections. And he's come to court specifically for the current examination, his goal, to win the top scholar position.
And he's willing to, let's say, ensure his success.
That's putting it mildly. This is where the corruption really comes into focus.
Let
Zong explains who the 4 chief examiners are.
me guess. Zong is one of them.
He is. Along with Prime Minister Zhang Bangchong, the Minister of War Wang Duo, and the Right Army Commander Zhang Jin. So basically the highest levels of government and military.
Powerful panel.
Extremely powerful. And Prince Chai knew this. The source states he sent 4 letters and 4 gifts, one for each examiner.
Oh boy, and how did that go over?
Here's the kicker. Prime Minister Zhang, Minister Wang, and Commander Zhang all accepted their gifts.
They took the bribe.
They did, and they promised him the top scholar position. It was apparently a done deal for them.
But Zong...
Grand Marshal Zong did not accept his gift. He refused it.
Okay, so there's a clear split. 3 compromised examiners, 1 holding out for integrity.
Exactly. And this is the situation Zong reveals to Yu Fei. You can imagine Yu Fei's reaction.
What does he do?
He immediately asks Zong to take charge, to step in, basically, and make sure the examination is fair, despite the others. A direct plea for Zong to uphold his principles.
Puts Zong in a terrible spot, doesn't it?
Absolutely terrible. Zong says he's committed to selecting true talent for the nation. He clearly believes Yu Fei is that talent, but he also has to acknowledge the complications.
Meaning he can't just overrule the prime minister, the minister of war, and a top commander.
It seems like he can't, or at least it would be incredibly difficult and politically dangerous. He's caught between his duty to find talent and the reality of the corrupt system he's part of.
So what does he tell Yu Fei to do?
It's quite anticlimactic, almost. He tells Yu Fei to just go back to his lodging. He mentions concerns about rumors spreading if Yu Fei hangs around too long.
Avoid suspicion, basically.
Yeah, and he gives this vague assurance saying they will deal with it at the examination.
Deal with the how. That sounds uncertain.
Very uncertain. It leaves Yu Fei hanging, doesn't it? It's a promise, maybe, but shrouded in political calculation.
So Yu Fei just has to leave with this huge piece of troubling information.
That's right. He departs and meets up with his sworn brothers, the 5 guys who came with him. They were apparently quite worried because he'd been gone so long.
Did they think something bad had happened?
Yeah, they were relieved to see him, but also sensed something was off. They assumed maybe he'd been mistreated or something inside Zong's residence.
Does Yu Fei tell them what really happened about Prince Chai and the bribes?
No. And this is really poignant. He reassures them, tells them only the good parts about impressing Zong, about the martial arts part of the exam.
But he keeps the corruption part secret?
Completely secret. The source specifically says he dared not mention the matter of Prince Chai and was secretly troubled. He carries that weight all by himself.
Wow. So his brothers are there supporting him, but they have no idea about the real storm brewing, the political mess he's now aware of?
None at all. It really highlights the isolation that can come with knowing an inconvenient truth, especially when it involves powerful people and systemic rot. Even with loyal companions, he's alone with this burden. Yu Fei is there with his buddies, and they're about to have this, well, pretty unusual welcome banquet.
Yeah.
So things kick off kind of unexpectedly, right? Commander Zong Lishu, he just sends over 5 tables piled with food and wine.
Yeah, just sends it straight to the inn, no formal meeting, nothing like that. Just, boom, here's a feast.
A pretty generous welcome gesture for Yu Fei and his men.
It is, and Yu Fei's reaction tells you a lot straight away. He's polite, accepts it gracefully, but then, quietly, he makes sure the messenger gets paid well 2 taels of silver.
So he's showing humility, but also, like, quiet authority.
Exactly. He accepts the gift, but he's still managing the situation, handling the social protocols correctly. It's a nice balance.
Okay, and then the vibe gets pretty relaxed pretty quick.
No.
They basically tell the innkeeper, just warm up the wine and bring it here. We'll handle the rest. They're going to serve themselves.
Very informal. And then you've got New Gao.
Huh. Yeah, new Gao. He doesn't wait, does he?
Nope. No ceremony, no hesitation. He just digs in, starts eating like he hasn't seen food in weeks.
It's just brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah.
So uninhibited, adds a real touch of humor and, personality right from the start.
Definitely sets him apart.
So after they've been eating for a little while, Wang Yi pipes up. He suggests making the drinking part a bit more lively.
Right? Time for a game.
Yeah, he suggests this game called Kick-Gelling, and the rules sound pretty straightforward.
Deceptively simple, maybe.
Okay, so each person has to name a historical figure who was known for, like, heroic drinking.
Mm-hmm. Someone famous for drinking bravely or significantly.
And if you can't think of one, or maybe if your choice gets challenged.
Then you pay the penalty. 3 cups of wine.
Now, you were saying this is more than just knocking back wine, right? There's a cultural layer here.
Oh, absolutely. It's huge. This isn't just about getting drunk. It's a performance, really.
A performance of what?
Of your knowledge, your cultural literacy. You have to know your history, know these heroic figures, and you need quick wit to come up with one on the spot. These are all qualities valued in, educated men, military leaders back then.
Okay, that makes sense.
And notice, too, the game formally sets up Yu Fei as the host, even though the food was a gift. And Zhang Jin is the order official, the guy who runs the game. It creates this little hierarchy, even while they're just having fun.
Right, structure within the chaos. So let's see how this game actually goes down. Zhang Jin kicks things off.
Yep. Zhang Jin drinks his cup first, then he names Guan Yu, specifically Guan Yu at the Single Blade Feast.
Ah, okay, that's a famous story. Walking into enemy territory alone, basically.
Exactly. It represents incredible bravery, but also diplomatic skill. Using wit to disarm a dangerous situation. A really strong opening choice.
Okay, solid start. Who's next?
Tom Huai. He takes his turn and chooses Liu Bang.
Liu Bang, the founder of the Han Dynasty.
That's the one. Specifically, the story of Liu Bang slaying the snake after drinking. It's a foundational myth.
Right, linked to him becoming emperor, his destiny.
Precisely. It taps into that whole idea of imperial destiny, a really significant moment in Chinese history and mythology.
Okay, so 2 pretty weighty historical references so far. Then it's Wang Yi's turn.
And Wang Yi brings up Shang Yu.
Shang Yu,
Right.
the rival of Liu Bang.
Right. He names Shang Yu at the Hongmen Banquet, another incredibly famous historical event.
But this one doesn't go so smoothly, does it?
No, this is where it gets really interesting. Zhang Jin, acting as that order official, immediately calls him out. Wang Yi has to drink the penalty.
Why? Shang Yu was definitely a hero, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Known for his strength and bravery.
Oh, absolutely. A legendary warrior. But Zhang Jin argues that at that specific banquet, the Hongmen Banquet, Zhang Yu made a massive strategic blunder.
What was a blunder?
He had Liu Bang right there, vulnerable. His advisors told him to get rid of Liu Bang, his main rival. But Zhang Yu hesitated. He let Liu Bang leave. And that failure to act decisively, Zhang Jin argues, ultimately led to Shang Yu's defeat later on.
Wow, okay, so the game isn't just about naming any heroic act of drinking. It's about the context, the consequences.
Exactly. It shows that heroism isn't just brute force or bravery. It's also about smart decisions, strategy. Even heroes can make fatal mistakes. It adds a whole layer of complexity to the idea of heroism itself.
That is fascinating. But
Yeah.
then we get Niu Gao's turn.
Ah, Niu Gao. He completely flips the script.
He really does. He basically says, I'm not bothering with all these ancient relics, I think he calls them.
Yeah, he dismisses the whole historical angle.
And instead, he just declares himself a hero. His
Hmm.
reasoning. Because he can drink loads of wine without falling over.
Haha, yes. Just pure, straightforward, capacity-based heroism.
The others all laugh, obviously. But he sticks to it. And he even argues about the penalty he'd rather have 2 big bowls than 3 small cups.
It's brilliant. It just highlights this massive contrast in personalities and maybe even social perspectives within the group.
Yeah.
You've got the scholarly, historical view of heroism from the others.
Right.
And then Niu Gao's completely down-to-earth, practical, almost physical definition. I can handle my drink, therefore I'm heroic. It shows you heroism wasn't just one thing.
It really does. Okay, so after Niu Gao's contribution, it's finally Yu Fei's turn, the host.
Yes, the climax of this round. And Yu Fei does something interesting, too. He breaks the pattern.
How so?
Well, the others have been sticking mostly to heroes from the Wei and Han periods, much earlier history. Yu Fei brings it much closer to their own time.
Oh, who does he choose?
He talks about Cao Wei, a figure from their own Song dynasty, and the act he describes is, well, it's pretty dramatic.
Go on.
He describes Cao Wei during a feast, literally throwing the severed head of an enemy onto the banquet table.
Whoa. Okay, that's vivid.
Yeah.
Much more visceral than the others.
Exactly. It's immediate, brutal, and contemporary. A very different kind of heroic display compared to, say, Guan Yu's diplomatic feat, or Liu Bang's mythological encounter.
So the game itself kind of maps out different facets of heroism.
I think that's a great way to put it.
Okay, so what happens after the heroic drinking round? Does the party wind down?
Not quite yet. The drinking definitely continues. The game shifts, though. Nigai suggests they switch to playing riddles.
Riddles.
Yeah.
Okay, how does he do?
Apparently not very well. The text says he loses quite a few rounds, meaning he's drinking even more penalties.
Huh. So the revelry's still going strong. They're all getting pretty tipsy, enjoying themselves.
Very much so. Boisterous fun, lots of wine.
Yeah.
But there's a shift happening internally, especially with Yufei.
Ah, okay. Well, everyone else is joking around, playing riddles.
Yufei's mind is elsewhere. The story tells us explicitly he's preoccupied. He's worried. He's concerned about this character, Prince Wang,
The little Prince Lang.
possibly winning the position of martial scholar, and he's thinking about what that would mean for his own career, his own reputation. His mind is on ambition, on strategy, on the future. It really highlights the loneliness of leadership, perhaps.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it.
Even surrounded by friends, celebrating, the leader carries these internal burdens, these anxieties that the others aren't necessarily sharing in that moment. It
Yeah.
sets him apart.
And that internal stuff seems to affect him physically, too. Because he's the first one to nod off, isn't he?
He is. The drink catches up with him, or maybe the worry does. He drifts off, leaning against the table.
And then the others follow suit.
Gradually, yeah. Zhang Xian and Tang Kuai find a couch, crash out there. Then Wang Yi eventually slumps in his chair. They're all out.
And the text even mentions his friends noticed he'd been unusually quiet earlier.
Right. They sensed something was up, even if they didn't know what. It reinforces that idea of his internal preoccupation. While they were all loud and merry, he was quieter, thinking.
Okay, so nearly everyone is asleep?
Nearly everyone. It's a great contrast. All this talk of heroism, leadership strategy,
Yeah.
and then they all just pass out from the wine.
Except for one person.
Except for Niu Gao.
This is such a great twist. Niu Gao, the guy who is just focused on eating and drinking, is the last man standing.
Wide awake. And he sees his chance.
What does he do?
He looks around at his sleeping friends and thinks, right, perfect time to go explore the city.
Huh. Just like that.
Just like that. He's not weighed down by the same worries as Yufei, apparently. He's got this adventurous streak.
And he slips out. Does he tell the innkeeper?
He does, sort of. He has this quick, funny exchange with the innkeeper. Tells him everyone's asleep, don't bother them. But he's just poking out to, well, he says, relieve himself.
A likely story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A little white lie to cover his tracks while he goes off on an adventure.
It just shows his character again, doesn't it? Independent, curious, maybe a bit impulsive.
Completely. While the others follow the expected path, feast, drink, sleep, Niu Gao just decides to literally walk off that path and see what's out there. Even within this tight group, he's his own man.
So, okay, Niu Gao steps outside. What's it like?
It's bustling, the streets are crowded, full of people. He just starts wandering eastward, taking it all in.
Aimlessly. Or does he have a destination?
Seems pretty aimless at first. He walks until he gets to a three-way intersection, and he's not sure which way to go next.
And then?
And then right at this crossroads, he bumps into two very striking figures.
Oh, tell me more.
Two tall men, really tall. One is dressed all in white. The text says 9 feet tall, round white face. The other's in red, 8 feet tall, pale red face. They're walking arm in arm.
Wow, they sound almost symbolic or something. Very visually distinct.
They really stand out, and Niu Gao overhears them talking.
What do they say?
They're talking about going to visit the Daxiango Temple, which was this huge, famous temple complex in the capital city, Tokyo, which we know as Kaifeng today.
Okay, so Niu Gao hears this.
And his ears prick up. He knows the Daxiango Temple by reputation, knows it's famous, and his curiosity just takes over.
He decides to follow them.
Instantly, he thinks, great, I want to see this temple too, and just starts trailing behind these two mysterious guys.
What's the temple like when they get there?
It's depicted as incredibly vibrant, just teeming with life. The text uses this phrase, 9 streams and 3 religions, which basically means every kind of person imaginable is there.
Okay. Merchants, monks, scholars, performers, all sorts of people. Lots of commerce, lots of activity, a real hub. So Niu Gao follows the two men into this chaotic scene.
Yep, right into the temple grounds and then into one of the main halls, the Tianwang Hall.
And it's crowded inside.
Packed. But here's another interesting detail. These two tall men, the one in white and the one in red, they just sort of glide through the crowd, people seem to just move out of her way naturally.
Making them seem even more unusual.
Definitely adds to the mystery. And Yu Gao, sticking close behind them, follows them easily through the throng, deeper into the temple.
And deeper into the mystery, what a place to leave it.
Right.